Morning, everyone. Welcome back once again to the Circa Monthly Expert Talk for the month of May. Circa Expert Talk is a monthly feature where we present national and international experts who speak on important issues related to climate change and air pollution. Preserving the climate on Earth is the joint responsibility of everyone, all nations. However, in the name of development, there has been an overexploitation of our planet, without any doubt, in very unplanned ways, which has triggered climate changes that may soon become irreversible. Undoubtedly, the greenhouse effects caused by scientifically confirmed carbon loads, which are ever increasing, are the main culprit, along with some other incriminating gases. A significant part of our upper atmosphere is getting ablated continuously due to human indulgence. And there's hardly any doubt that if proactive preventive measures are not adopted now, it may become too late to stop these irreversible changes. And there's an urgent need to fine tune the future developmental goals vis a vis minimizing these carbon emissions through low cost, greener technologies, especially for developing nations like India. And the recent decadal drop in carbon emissions is, of course, a healthy indicator. However, there is a need for both vertically and horizontally expanding the scope of the corrective measures to prevent the irresistible climate change or climate damage on Earth. Today, we are delighted to have with us Dr. V.N. Jha, who would be speaking on the topic Climate Change Some Divergent Views. And before I officially invite Dr. Jha for delivering his talk, I would like to introduce him to the audience. Group Captain Dr. V.N. Jha, who's now retired from the Indian Air Force, is a scientist from the Defense Research and Development Organization. He has an MBBS degree from the Armed Forces Medical College, Pune, and an MD degree from Bangalore University. His specialty lies in aerospace medicine, particularly in the field of life support technologies in aerospace and life sciences cluster at the DRDO. Dr. Jha has served as a professor of aviation medicine at RG University from July 2005 to 2007, and also as a postgraduate guide and examiner at RGUHS Bangalore during the same period. Throughout his career, Dr. Jha has undertaken significant assignments, including being a specialist squadron medical officer for flying squadrons for 15 years, senior medical officer for 2 flying stations, and deputy principal medical officer of Central Air Command in the Indian Air Force, chief research officer at IAM Indian Air Force headquarters, and group head, joint director at DEBEL DRDO. His contributions in scientific research and the papers presented have been recognized with several awards. Notable among them are the Best Scientific Paper Award from the Indian Society of Aerospace Medicine in 1992 for his paper on aeromedical aspects of flying over snowbound airfields and helipads, the Best Scientific Paper Award at the All India Technical Seminar Bangalore in 1994 for his paper on Antariksh Mein Manav, Kuch Amekit Prayog, and the Om Satya Mehra Award at the ISAM Bangalore in 1998 for his paper titled Indigenization of Aircrew Equipment, The Indian Dilemma. In the field of research and development, Dr. Jha's team received recognition with the Best Technological Group Awards at DEBEL DRDO in 2010 for the development of a helicopter oxygen system, in 2012 for the development of high pressure oxygen technologies, and in 2013 for the development of common integrated helmet and common mask for all aircraft of the Indian Air Force. Dr. Jha has also received honors such as being a fellow of the Indian Society of Aerospace Medicine since 2006 and being a member of the Institute of Defense Scientists and Technologists in New Delhi. Dr. Jha is also an accomplished author with books to his name. These include aeromedical considerations in the design of aviators and life support equipment and design concepts in human space missions, to name a few. Without wasting more time, I would now like to invite Dr. Jha to deliver his talk. The talk would be for 30 to 35 minutes, followed by a 10-minute question answer session. Welcome, Dr. Jha, and over to you for the talk.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kaushal. Thank you for inviting on a topic that has been very close to my heart. And on this area, I have been working for some time and I have been airing my view, being a aerospace scientists, there are few features, there are few narratives which is going on in the area of the climate changes. But some of the mightier one, they are not very happy with the things which is happening on the global arena. Thank you again for picking the topic, which is very pertinent to the phases which is happening in the world today. And on this area, there are much which is known already to you all, because you are the people who are working for the principal research, primary research you are undertaking in the field. So you are the best person. I cannot have any more opinion over and above what you have. And I really compliment you for narrating the entire phase, entire episodes, entire dilemmas behind these climate changes in the every word that you have spoken, and all those words were absolutely measured and pertinent to the issue that we are going to talk today. So when I start here, I'm again reiterating that you are the best people in the field, and your department is the one which will be knowing much more than what I can think of. Yet, I will try to narrate some of the things which is slightly different from the narrative that is going on in the world today. I may not be, serving much of the ready-made food to your audience, but I'm sure I will be providing some of the food for thought for subsequent research, and a bit of mind wobbling in the area that we all are so eagerly, I mean, waiting helplessly to happen. It is happening, and it is only up to us that how we change it. And your again department is the principal in the world today, taking the basic R&Ds and research in this area. First of all, I would like to define the climate. There seems to be a lot of confusion. People in the world today have taken it for granted that climate means temperature. No, it is not. It is the composite or generally prevailing environment and the weather conditions of a region averaged over the years. That is what dictionary.com defines it. And it also says that the parameters such as temperature, atmosphere, its pressure, humidity, pollutants, precipitation, sunshine, especially the visual spectrum, cloudiness, and wind, all these are the part and parcel of the climate. That is how it is defined. I would like to add even something more. That is, it would be wiser to encompass the invisible components of what we have just now defined that has got impact on the atmosphere, its magnetic shield, and the gravity, which all matter to us, which all matter to life, which all put the life at stake. So going with sort of definition, let me proceed further. Climate activists have been focusing on the human inflicted abuses right since the 80s. And at various forums, I need not go much into the details, but their main focus areas have been temperature, weather patterns, rainfall, cloudbursts, floods, droughts, cyclone, tornado, wildfires, and so on. All these phenomena are happening almost on the daily basis now these days. Greenhouse gas, of course, is very, very important, and carbon dioxide has got more of loads onto the entire phenomena. But we need to be bit cautioned. It is not only the carbon dioxide, it is many more things which are in the field, which is also affecting the greenhouse effects. Human activities affecting the environmental regeneration process like deforestations and some others are equally important. IPCC reports of the last about 2000 years mentions that there have been a rise of about 47% in the carbon dioxide load, methane about 156%, and nitrous oxide also to some extent about 25% or so, 23%. NASA report mentions that there have been a rise in the global temperature by about 1 degree or so in the last 140 years. All these are on the social medias, on the internet domain. So nothing new onto this. But the present climate movement that is going on all around the world that ignores many of the concerns of the earth degradations that is happening. And my emphasis, my emphasis will be more onto those areas where my views are slightly divergent, and it is not only my view, it is the scientific view, which is slightly divergent, which I will be focusing mostly upon. On the greenhouse effects, our Vedas and other literatures, they mention something like oceanic pralay, wherein that entire world will be engulfed by the floods of the sea engulfing the entire thing. Whether it is not, it is or it is not, I mean, only time will say. But the major greenhouse gases, because of the burning of the fossil fuel and the other carbons, is the one primary, and there is the area where focus right now of the world is there. It is the non-renewable energy sources, wood, coal and its product, natural gases, derived gases, crude oil, petroleum products, and so many of the non-renewable wastes. All these are mostly used for generation of the electricity, heat, farming related activities, industries, transportation, building, and many other purposes. Few coal mines have been burning for decades, including here in India, Dhanbad coal field. There are at least three or four of them are on the fire for last about 50 years. So all these emissions are happening, all this pollution is going on. So these all are contributing to the greenhouse effect, and it is not only India; it is happening all over the world. India has got a very small component of contribution to because of these things. Greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, methane, ozone, fluorinated gases, and plethora of other things are already known. You are the best person who will be much aware of this. I will not like to repeat all those. Some gases do enter regeneration cycle like photosynthesis or nitrogen cycle, nitrogen establishment cycle, rains. But others, many others, they remain out of it, out of the regeneration process in the atmosphere for decades, some even over a century. Deforestation, of course, is a major cause of crust heating and the carbon dioxide load increasing, which is also increasing the temperature. As far as the greenhouse gases are concerned, of course, the carbon dioxide load because of the petroleum product have been there, and it is so surprising that these petroleum products remain off the radars of the global community till Glasgow conference that has gone a couple of years earlier. So that is the type of the focusing or shifting of the attention from the features which is causing greenhouse gas effects all over. International intentional burning of the coal, of course, China is the one which is the most pollutant. Australia, US, they all have huge amount of coal loads which they are using intentionally for different reasons. India is a very small stakeholder. In the last meeting at Glasgow, PM Modi mentioned that India's contribution is less than 5% of total effect what is being caused. But my attention is slightly more than that. All these are, of course, happening. Being a specialist in the aerospace science, my focus is also now increasing with the increasing aviation and aerospace activities. Every time that a rocket goes in the space, it utilizes either the STPB, UDMH, MMH, MON. All these are being used. Below the troposphere, I am not much concerned, because whatever happens below the troposphere, there is a temperature cycle which makes the upper atmosphere cool, and that comes down, enters the convection, it comes close to the ground, and again it enters that regeneration cycle with whatever the forest that we have. But what happens, what is happening above the tropopause in the stratosphere? In the stratosphere, there is a reversal of temperature phenomena. That is, with the increasing altitude, temperature keeps rising. As a result, anything which is hotter remains up. So what particles of the carbon dioxide or other molecules are up in the atmosphere, in the troposphere, or maybe thermosphere? They remain there. They have hardly any chance to come down, hardly any chance to enter the regeneration cycle. So those few molecules of the gases, greenhouse gases, whatever it is there, Whatever is emitted in those areas by these rockets, or by any aeroplane flying above the troposphere. There are certain fighter planes which do fly at 50,000 feet, 60,000 feet altitude. So when they emit those gases that remain in that area, and that is what over the period, every bit of those molecules will remain there, and they will continue trapping the gases for what was there. So about this, I'm surprised there is no outcry. There has to be a reason for everyone to be concerned of this reverse temperature cycle and the gases which is entering in this stratosphere and the thermosphere from that point of view. As far as the greenhouse gases of the environmental temperature is concerned, it is all known. We are getting the most of the heating through the IR from the sun. Those high intensity short delta short wave delta of the near infrared or the short wave infrared, that's a very intense energy wavelength sources, which it just traverses through the entire atmosphere and comes to the surface. After the surface is heating up, that secondary long delta, long lambda IR infrared rays of those, either the hot surface of the earth, maybe earth's core, volcanoes, forest fire, all these, when it is secondary lambda infrared emitting from here, that is finding it difficult to escape the atmosphere. These greenhouse gases in the upper atmosphere, they trap them, and that is what I have tried to show it here, that all these gases, all these molecules what are there in the outer atmosphere, it is trapping those IRs, and that is what is causing more of the heating of the temperature, which remain there. That is the important, because those atoms have got no escape. Those molecules of the gases in the upper atmosphere have got no escape. So it remains there, and that is what is causing all these more and more greenhouse effects. And this is the area where I wish that more and more international community gets worried about it and does something in this regard. As far as the higher environmental temperature effects are concerned, we are all aware of the extreme seasonal changes, droughts, intense rain, floods, ice glacier melting. We have already seen it happening in the Arctic areas, rise in the river, sea, unexpected flooding, frequent extensive wildfires, increase in the arid land, loss of vulnerable flora and fauna of the earth, especially in the cold areas where the temperature is rising. So all these are threatening the species of the plants and animals. Temperate and cold vegetations are gradually disappearing. Sustaining life over a time when the temperature increase will be difficult. The adaptation will be required much more. There will be a need for life support even living on the Earth's surface. So all these are happening: cyclones, hurricanes, typhoons. All those warmer ocean surfaces, which is causing the moisture to be absorbed into the atmosphere. When all it cools down, and then all these drop, and that is what we are saying: the very heavy rainfall in the areas next to the ocean beds. All these are happening. One more area: the temperature rise, it will expand the entire fluid. That includes both water and air. The fall in air density due to the temperature will also reduce the fall in the atmospheric pressure. If the atmospheric pressure reduces, the partial pressure of oxygen, PPO2, will also decrease. And then the lives at the higher altitudes, which is as such difficult to sustain, will become even more difficult. And thereafter, there will be also a lapse in the lapse rate that will decrease. Every 1,000 feet altitude that we go, there is a decrease in the temperature by about 1.98 Celsius for every 1,000 feet. That will reduce, and the convection cooling that happens because of this lapse rate, that will reduce. So cooling of the earth will be a problem, and all these problems will continue increasing. The ocean part, where the human developmental activity is going on, Those are the areas where more and more temperatures are there, and that includes 40-degree north and 40-degree south, as I have tried to show here in the map. In this, about 15 to 40-degree north is the most vulnerable, and 20 to 30 degrees south is also vulnerable. Now, what is exact reason? That only some basic research subsequently, when it is conducted, that will tell us. But it is that the moisture of the sea water, which vaporizes there, more and more this water is vaporized with the increasing temperature. The dew points and other things are affected accordingly. And when all these cool, there's a huge amount of water in the upper atmosphere, which all falls down like that we see that intense rain causing the flood, cloud bursts, all these are happening. So this is what is causing a lot of demonstrable, visible changes in the rainfall patterns and the temperature phenomena in and around the ocean. Other factors also I would like to elaborate is the environmental pollution, damages to the Earth atmospheric blanket, degradation of the crust, invisible spectrum, and the nuclear dooms. Problem in the environmental pollution is all before us. Plastic products in the physical, micro, or smoke forms due to the incineration that is already affecting us. Hydrocarbons, heavy metals, metalloids, pesticides, radioactive substances, and its wastes, industrial waste, products of the volcanic activities. All these are polluting our environment and making the life extremely difficult. As I mentioned to you, the rocket fuel UDMH, asymmetrical or diamonomethyl hydrogen, is a very toxic fuel, fuel for the rockets. And when this is burned, the entire area is now under the threat. Of course, of late, hydroxyl ammonium nitrate, HAND as we call it, it is trying to replace the old fuel UDMH, but it is only a tokenism that is going on. Less than 5% of the fuel are at hand. So by and large, pollution of the atmosphere continues with this rocketry. And who are the best players in this rocketry? Today, the biggest of the rockets are being used by Elon Musk, his SpaceX. Chinese are using those rockets. So they are the main polluters where all these things are happening. Pollution of the air, water in and around the surfaces, both including subsoil, all these are happening, causing sickness to the humanity. And we all will be suffering, are already suffering, or will be suffering more. Now, here is the area where I want to focus a little more, being the aerospace scientist. Every time that the rocket is sent to the space, whether it is the space rocket or it is the ballistic missiles. Now, these, when it is sent there, they create a sort of shock wave when they transpire the sonic speed. The moment supersonic speed is being crossed over, there is a shock wave. And the studies has already revealed that the Falcon 9 of SpaceX, that causes the generation of a shock wave, which is 4 times of California area. That much of shock wave is being generated. As I've tried to show it here, the lower bracket of the shock wave is much more intense. As it is extending outwards, it is becoming weaker and weaker. And more important is that there is the gradient, a huge gradient of the more dense shock wave and lesser dense atmosphere. That is what is causing the ablation of a huge amount of the atmosphere. Now, I must be slightly cautious here in explaining to you that not this entire shock wave is translating into the pressure wave. It is only a small fraction of it. We know it as a Knudsen number, Kn number, which translates it that how much of this shock wave will have the dynamics, fluid dynamics of translating into the pressure wave. And whatever is translated into the pressure wave, that is what is causing the ablation of the temperature. That would be physically pushing off that much of temperature out of the atmosphere into the vacuum of the space. So this is one area. And second thing, the extent of the shock wave is directly proportional to the cross-section area of the rocket and the payloads. You are aware that the small rockets of India is less than 2 meter diameter. SpaceX It is sending, something like 6 meters diameters sort of rockets. So such a massive rockets, when it is being sent, it has got a huge lot of shock wave. So all these are happening, and apart from pushing out the large chunk of atmosphere out of the blanket of the earth, it is also drilling a hole into the ozone layer. About 3 months back, there was a report from the European Union and the ESA, European Space Agencies, that they are very happy that their actions have reduced the disappearance of the ozone layer in the upper atmosphere. But they are aloof of the fact that every Falcon 9 rocket is drilling a hole into the upper atmosphere, and that is directly pushing out all those gases, be it ozone or be it other gases. So these are the things which is happening, and right now it is not showing up in terms of the loss of the pressure, because atmosphere is huge. But when these sort of dents are or ablations are being created again and again, because now almost every month SpaceX is sending those rockets, China is sending the rockets, European agency is sending the rockets. When it is happening so often, obviously it will show up in the long run, and we will realize the meter of that pressure, atmospheric pressure, will start falling down only when substantial damage has been caused. But by that time, it will be substantial damage. It may be irrevocable thereafter. So this is one area I wanted to focus here in this. And apart from that, the atmospheric losses that is happening, it is also to an extent that when it goes to the upper atmosphere, it is causing the damage to the same people. When all these satellites are there in the LEO, low Earth orbit, these ablated gases, they are more and more inhibitors of those satellites in the LEO. It causes much more of the decay rates, of the lowering of the speed, and finally those satellites will fall down onto the earth. It will re-enter the atmosphere. So all these damages are happening to them also. They know it, but then they are compelled to do all this, and the atmosphere is being damaged today. Other than what we have talked to, I just have another few slides to show to you that there is a degradation of the earth crust in the form. Nearly 75% of the earth crust is already degraded. 3.5 billion people worldwide are negatively affected by the contaminated land. Uncontrolled mining, prospective explorations, constructions, expansion, abandonment, decommissioning of the mines, all these are making dents. But in the Arctic regions, there are already about 373 odd mineral mines across Alaska, Canada, Greenland, Iceland, the Faroes, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Russia. They are all drilling holes into this, and I have marked in red here. The minerals of iron and nickel are the core to Earth's magnetism that I'll be talking of later. And they just look at that, what the human is indulging into it. The main causes of the deforestations are many of these, and also many other things which may not be in our hand, the forest fires and other things that is happening. That is also equally important for this. Toxin discharge into the rivers, pollute the rivers and also the subsoil water, make it impotable. Negative effects on the health are immense, that it may be too late by the time we realize. Half of the world's population lack proper waste disposal system, and the result is that 8 to 60 million people live within 10 kilometers of the dumping sites. We in Delhi, we have seen in our vicinity, and like this, there are so many others happening. And you keep on naming them. Lowering of the water table, what happens due to the drought? Well go dry, scarcity of drinking water, water from the greater depths often have more TDS, the total dissolved salt, that make it unpotable. That is why we need RO or water filter in every household today, because we are drawing up the water from the deep wells. Lesser moisture in the soil contribute to the drought, arid lands. Destruction of the landscape is happening due to habitat is being affected. They are the cave-ins of the earth, and all these are making large chunk of the earth uninhabitable. Any legislations onto this? Well, we will wonder there is hardly any legislation which compel people to refrain from this. Other than this, the earthquakes it's though it is not in our hand, it is a natural phenomena, difficult to predict. But effects of soil liquefaction, fissures, avalanches, tsunamis, those which generate due to the earthquakes, those can be limited. And there are already warning signs. Red flags are issued for this. Devastation depend onto the magnitude, intensity, duration, and the local geology, time of the day, type of the dwellings that we make in the earthquake-prone areas. In this area, mapping of the prefecture zones. Recently, what happened in Turkey? It is already known to be a high intensity earthquake zone. Still, they were the homes which were not conforming to the construction directions. What is there for such zones? It is happening, and it is why blame others. In Delhi, there have been earlier the noise that we are awaiting a very grave earthquake sometime in the come, because there were some features, the red flagging zones were there. And how many of the Delhi buildings are shock proof, earthquake proof? We will be wondering. So there is a very little of the seismic commensurate constructions of the building material that is there. Joshi Mutt could have been prevented. Dr. Hemant had requested me, because I had gone to Joshi Mutt to look into those areas, what had happened in the aftermath there. So I have a small slide to suggest there in that what is happening there. And all these high tectonic areas, whether it is the Stan Andes fault, Ring of Fire, Himalayas, they are already known to us. And then not adhering to the suggestions, scientific suggestions, is something that we are lagging behind. Now, mudslides are often on the predicted path. All unstable hills, mountains must be marked. There are huge life loss, whether it is the Malin in Pune, Bento Rodrigues, Brazil, Norway, Lanka, Sri Lanka, China, Uganda, India, Uttarakhand. Huge amount of mudslides have caused their lives to disappear. It has got that. And all these are known in that the slopes where the loose muds are there, that is the indicator that that particular hill or mountain is unstable. There is no reason for the people to be living in that vicinity, but still they live there. Of course, it is easier said than done what should be done, but everyone has to be aware of this. What I was trying to mention to you about the problems in the Joshi Mutt is Joshi Mutt is come up at a place where there were landslides, centuries back. On those land where the lower stones, a piece of earth material are there, which is in the loose, there in the entire Joshi Mutt, there was no drainage system. So water had been seeping into that. On top of that, there is a constructions material which is so heavy, and all permanent constructions material have come up on those areas, which cause the land to subside. And on top of that, when the earth shakes, tremors come up there, because that is in the zone 4 to 5 of the earthquake tectonic plates. So when all this happens, surely the land is going to subside. I have interacted with many other scientists there. Not all of us are unanimous in what it is causing there, but then these are the things what is happening. And other than that, there's one more area that I pointed you out a couple of minutes earlier. The exploitation of iron and nickel from the Arctic. Now, iron and nickel are the one which is responsible for majority of the Earth's magnetism being generated, added with the various features of Curie point of temperature, electron flow on the molten core. If the type of magnetism is because of this, now what happens if the iron and nickel is taken out from there? Will it affect? Secondly, with the development over the centuries, now electricity generation is immense right now, so much more than what was earlier. Recall Faraday's law. Now, if enough of electricity, electrons are earthen, wherever earthing happens, if it goes into the earth, and if that may affect the electromotive force, if that may affect the even say a small fraction of the magnetism around the earth field, what will happen to the von Allen belts, where all these electrons and protons and the solar flares, everything is concentrated? whether it is the outer Von Allen belt or the inner Von Allen belt, what will happen to the lives here on the earth? It is something to ponder about. I don't remember, I couldn't find any specific basic research in this area, but again, IIT Delhi has got the Earth Sciences Department. I think this is one area where the food for thought is there, whether all these are are likely to cause some problems. Second thing that I was trying to point out is the drilling of the massive ozone holes because of these rockets. When it is happening, obviously that ultraviolet light will hit the earth, and we all will be in the danger of it. So all these are happening. And last but not the least in this is the unseen phenomena of the expanding universe. Does human activity, whether it is relating to the earth or our scientific trips or the rocket trips going to the moon or other planet, it is it likely to affect something? You know what I was trying to mention to you, that small amount of the loss of speed, decay of the speed of the satellites, pull it to the earth. Now what will happen if moon is impacted with whatever force? Those fine balance which keep the moon rotating around the earth for billions of years now, are we going to make any dent it, any changes, or even say 1 centimeter dropping of those speeds or something? Has anyone given a thought? Is there a scientific body in the world today which has given a thought that let us not disturb moon? Because if that moon is disturbed, if that is off the orbit, what will happen? We will escape beyond the earth, or we will come towards the earth. Our lives will be at stake. So all these have got the meaning which I wanted to elaborate here. Last but not the least, just I have this last slide now. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Chernobyl, Fukushima, all these are known to us. Yet there are more than about 13,000 nuclear warheads, both fission and fusion materials, even the neutron bombs. All these are there. What will happen if there is one radical country which uses the atomic arsenal? There will be retaliation. And in that retaliation, what will happen? Fire of explosion will roast the entire attack center. Radiation will contaminate tens of squares of kilometer. Both primary and secondary fallouts will contaminate the hundreds of square kilometer away from a single attack point. Numerous explosions can annihilate the live beings, contaminate the air, water, food, shelter, everything. Nothing will be used. Nothing will be usable. It will raise a dense dust around the earth that will stop the earth's visible spectrum or even IR from penetrating. Earth will enter a cold phase, ice age. That is all possibility. Lethal dose of radiation will kill instantly the entire humanity. Sublethal doses will cause the painful deaths, and there will be genetic deformities for the next generation. What are we giving to our next generation? So all these are the areas where we should be concerned. If the nuclear warheads, they detonate, it will make the entire environment like an oven, create natural inferno on the earth. Life will be unsustainable. It will break the regeneration cycles. What is happening? There will be acute scarcity of oxygen, water, food, and everything that you can think of. So all these are the strong possibility. Where is the voice against the total nuclear disarmament? Nothing less than that. I'm afraid there is none such. Coming to the end, now what I have tried to make you a picture is that the climate effect is going on, but today the world is only concentrated onto the temperature aspect of it, and that too only carbon dioxide load, though it is an important one, but there are many things that I have just now touched upon. Earth crust degradations, hardly anyone seems to be concerned about it. Overexploitation of the subsoil water, mines, minerals, not many are concerned. Nuclear threat attack. Every country today, every rogue country today is the one which is heading towards the nuclear arsenal and which is not regulated. That is important. Loss of atmospheric blanket that I have touched upon on the space launches and the ballistic missiles, it is equally important. Inaction to the earthquakes, landslides are we are already seeing. We don't want another Turkey to happen here in Delhi or anywhere else. We wish it doesn't happen. Environmental degradation, pollutions, and other things are all going on. So all these are the areas I wanted to just put into your minds. You are the the generation which is right now going to guide the entire world in the areas of the climate and the earth sciences. So I just wanted to ignite some of those minds with the problems that we are facing. And carbon dioxide and the temperature is not alone in this area. This is the other areas where I beg to differ from the narrative that is going on. Should there be any question, I'll be glad. I have finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Jha, for sharing your immense experience and knowledge and thoughts with us. And so there is a, I don't think so that there are any questions here. So I request the participants, if you have any questions, please post here in the chat box, or you can mail us so that we can share with Dr. Jha after this talk. Um, so, should we wait for questions, or should we move to a formal vote of thanks part?
I'm open. In case the questions come later also, I would be glad to answer to anyone. My email, you can share with them. I'll
Yeah,
be
sure.
glad to answer anything.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you, sir. So, on behalf of Circa IITD, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Jha for accepting our invitation to deliver this talk. And it was real pleasure and honor to host you, our expert speaker this month. And finally, I also want to thank all the participants representing from different sectors who took time off for attending this talk and just okay. We will announce our next scheduled talk via email and social media handles soon. So thank you so much for attending and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Dr. Jha, and thank you all the participants. We have some of the participants requesting Dr. Jha's mail so that they can post their questions to him directly.
Okay.
I hope all of you will make use of Dr. Jha's vast experience in the area of aerospace science, and he'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.